She thought her pain was over, until the truth knocked on her door and burned her world all over again. I hadn't seen Lena in 7 long years. 7 years of silence. 7 years of avoiding this town, this house, and every memory buried inside it. But when my sister kept calling, begging me to come home for Thanksgiving just this one time, I finally agreed. Not because I wanted to, but because some part of me was tired of running. Maybe I needed to face the ghosts I left behind. The drive back felt unreal. The closer I got to Brookfield, the tiny town where nothing ever changed, the tighter my chest became. The roads were the same narrow curves I knew as a teenager. The fields were still wide and empty, stretching out under the grey November sky. Even the cold air felt familiar, as if the place recognized me and wrapped itself around me with a mixture of welcome and warning. When I pulled up to my family home, I sat in the car for a full minute, hands gripping the steering wheel. The house looked exactly as it had the day I left, white paint peeling slightly, porch light glowing warmly, and the wind making the old wooden steps creak. The smell of burning firewood reached me even before I opened the door. Inside, laughter echoed faintly. My mother, my sister's kids. It sounded normal. Too normal for a day that already felt like the past was waiting to hit me. Then I stepped inside. Warm light spilled from the kitchen, and the smell of cinnamon, my mother's signature Thanksgiving trick, wrapped around me. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. Until I saw her. Lena. She stood in front of the kitchen counter, wearing a soft, cream-colored sweater and her hair tied back loosely. She was carving the Thanksgiving turkey with slow, steady movements, the knife gliding through the meat like she'd practiced 1,000 times. She looked older, but in a way that made her seem stronger, almost unreadable. She wasn't the soft-hearted girl I used to hold close. She was a woman now, sharper around the edges, quieter in her expressions. She looked up at the sound of my footsteps. Our eyes met. And just like that, every memory slammed into me. The laughter, the nights we stayed up talking, the fights, the final silence that ended everything. She smiled. A small, careful smile that didn't touch her eyes. "Ethan," she said softly, "didn't expect you'd ever come back." Her voice hadn't changed. Still gentle, still calm. But thinner somehow, like it was holding something back. Something heavy. "I didn't expect to be invited," I answered, trying to sound casual. "Mom insisted on a big Thanksgiving this year," my sister said from behind me. "Everyone she loves under one roof." Everyone she loves. The words lingered in the air, brushing past a truth no one said out loud. I looked at Lena again. She hadn't stopped carving. The knife moved with a smooth rhythm, but her fingers were tense. Her face stayed composed, but her eyes flicked toward me every few seconds, quick, measuring glances that made my stomach twist. We stood there in that warm kitchen, pretending to be nothing more than two people who once knew each other. Pretending we weren't once lovers. Pretending we didn't break each other. Pretending 7 years hadn't changed everything. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was something heavier. Something alive. I tried to breathe normally. Tried to ignore the way her presence dragged old emotions up from the place I buried them. But the past didn't care about my attempts at control. I remembered the last time I saw her, tears streaming down her face, her voice cracking as she said she couldn't do this anymore. I'd begged her to explain, but she shut down, shaking her head, refusing to speak. She pushed me away so hard that I left town the next day. And she never reached out again. Even after all these years, the wound she left behind still felt fresh. She glanced at me again. Her eyes held a quiet sadness, but also something colder beneath it. Something like relief. Like she was glad to see me, but also glad I had been gone. My mother walked over, giving me a tight hug. "I'm so happy you're home, darling." Her voice was warm, but something in it felt rehearsed. Forced. I didn't know why. I didn't know anything anymore. Lena stepped aside, wiping her hands on a towel. She stayed close enough to hear us, but far enough to pretend she wasn't listening. "Dinner will be ready soon," she said. "Just need to finish up here." I nodded, unsure what else to say. My sister's kids ran through the hallway laughing, breaking the strange tension for a moment. But as soon as they were gone, the heavy quiet returned, especially between Lena and me. I moved to the doorway, leaning against the frame, watching her work. She avoided my eyes now, focusing too carefully on the turkey, as if its skin held secrets she needed to cut through. Did you move back here? I asked gently. She paused for half a heartbeat. For now. The way she said it made me think she wasn't planning to stay. Or maybe she didn't want to explain. Maybe she was hiding something. I couldn't tell. I thought you. People change, she said, cutting me off. Her tone was soft but firm. I swallowed. Yeah. I guess they do. She finally looked up, meeting my gaze full on. Her eyes held a storm of things I couldn't name. Hurt, guilt, anger, maybe even regret. But there was also something else. Something I couldn't understand yet. Something that made my skin prickle. Her lips curved into another small, practiced smile. You look different, she said. So do you. 7 years will do that, she murmured. My chest tightened. She was right. 7 years had shaped us into new versions of ourselves, but the unfinished story between us still clung to the air. The room around us felt warm, almost too warm. The smell of roasted turkey, spices, and with smoke mingled with memories I didn't want to relive. I could hear muffled laughter from the living room, but here in the kitchen, everything felt too still. Lena placed the knife down. For a moment, her hand hovered over it, as if she was deciding whether to hold on to it or let it go. She didn't look dangerous, but she looked controlled, composed, and unreadable. A woman who had learned to hide her truths very, very well. She wiped her hands again, even though they were already clean. Something in her eyes shifted, just slightly. A flicker of pain. A spark of something unresolved. Something she wasn't ready to say yet. And that was when I felt it, deep, quiet, chilling. Something was wrong. Something she wasn't telling me. Something she had carried alone for 7 years. And as she turned back to the turkey, her shoulders stiffening, her voice just a little too calm, I realized one thing. This wasn't just a reunion. This was the beginning of answers I wasn't sure I was ready to hear. The past wasn't done with us. Not even close. Dinner moved in slow motion, like everyone was trying too hard to act normal. The table was full: turkey, mashed potatoes, roasted vegetables, warm bread. My sister's kids were whispering and giggling. My mother kept asking if anyone wanted more gravy. The fire crackled in the corner, giving the room a soft orange glow. But across from me sat Lena. And she was the only thing I could focus on. She held her fork like she wasn't really thinking about eating. Her eyes drifted up every few minutes, catching mine before quickly looking away. Every small smile she gave the others felt forced. Every laugh was too short. Her entire presence felt like a quiet storm waiting to break. So, she said finally, her voice cutting through the table chatter. Still living in the city. I cleared my throat. Yeah. Work keeps me busy. She nodded slowly. You always were good at running from things. The words landed sharper than she probably intended, if they were unintentional at all. I forced a smile. Maybe. But life moves on. Not for everyone, she murmured, just loud enough for me to hear. A cold shiver ran down my spine. She wasn't just talking about life. She was talking about us. I watched her pick at her food like she was only pretending to eat. The light above the table caught the edge of her face, revealing tired eyes, eyes that looked like they had been holding something heavy for far too long. My mother looked between us, her expression stiffening slightly, but she stayed quiet. The tension grew thicker, stretching from one end of the table to the other. I tried to brush it off and asked, So what have you been doing these days? Lena set her fork down and looked directly at me, trying to forget things that never really go away. I stared back, unsure what she meant, yet somehow knowing exactly what she meant. Before I could respond, she looked away again and took a sip of water, her hand trembling just enough for me to notice. A memory suddenly flashed in my mind. Flashback, 7 years ago. Lena standing on the old porch behind my house. Her face pale. Her arms wrapped tightly around herself. I can't do this, Ethan, she whispered. What do you mean? What happened? I asked, reaching for her. She stepped back. I can't. Her voice cracked. And she left. Back then, I didn't understand. Even now, sitting in front of her, I still didn't fully understand. Back in the present, Lena looked up again, studying my face like she was searching for something, some trace of the boy she used to love. Or maybe she was looking for proof that I had changed. You disappeared pretty fast after we ended, she said, voice low. You ended it, I replied gently. She blinked once, slowly. Did I? Her tone carried something new, something sharp and broken at the same time. I leaned forward slightly. Lena, what happened back then? Why did you cut me out without explanation? I hesitated. I thought we were better than that. She breathed out slowly, the kind of breath people take when they're trying not to cry. We were young, she said quietly. And young people make mistakes. That wasn't a mistake, I said. I loved you. Her eyes flickered. Loved. I swallowed. You know what I mean. She looked down at her plate, but not to eat, just to avoid my eyes. The air between us grew heavier, thicker, like a rope tightening around something we both feared to touch. My mother cleared her throat loudly. It's been a long time since you two were in the same room. Lena smiled politely. 7 years. The way she said it. There was meaning there. Pain. Resentment. Something else too. Guilt, maybe. I pushed my plate away slightly. Lena, what happened 7 years ago? You never gave me a real answer. Her jaw tightened. I didn't think you needed one. I did, I whispered. I still do. She looked up sharply, her eyes suddenly full of something raw. For a moment, she looked like she wanted to tell me everything. Like the truth was sitting right on her tongue, burning to get out. But then she blinked, and her expression shut down again. Calm, cold, unreadable. Some truths are better left alone, she whispered. And some lies ruin lives, I said before I could stop myself. Her eyes widened just slightly, one heartbeat of honest shock, before she forced another small, polite smile. You always did hate not having answers. Because answers matter, I said softly. You mattered. The table went quiet. No one else spoke. Even the fire felt quieter. Lena's fingers tapped softly against a glass. Tap, 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 like her mind was racing. She looked everywhere except at me. Her breathing was steady, but her posture was too stiff, like she was holding herself together by force. Something was wrong. Very wrong. But I couldn't name it yet. My sister finally stood, taking the kids to the living room. My mother followed to help, leaving Lena and me alone in a room full of warm lights and cold truths. She pushed her plate away gently. I'm sorry if I hurt you, she said. You didn't hurt me, I replied. You broke me. She closed her eyes for a brief moment. When she opened them again, they were shimmering, not with tears, but with something deeper. You don't know the whole story, she whispered. Then tell me. She looked at me for a long time, too long. Her eyes softened, then hardened again. A storm passing behind a window. I can't, she said. Why? Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Because the truth will hurt you more than the silence ever did. Her words sliced through me. What truth? I asked, my voice shaking. Lena, what are you hiding? She stood abruptly, gathering plates with trembling hands. Let's not do this tonight. It's Thanksgiving. Then when? I demanded softly. She paused, her back to me. Her shoulders rose and fell with a slow breath. You'll know, she said quietly. One way or another. She carried the plates to the sink, her fingers gripping the edges tightly enough to turn her knuckles white. I watched her, a strange chill running down my spine. Her movements were too careful. Her silence was too controlled. Her eyes held too many stories she wasn't telling. Something inside her was breaking, or already broken. And as I sat there, watching her work in that warm, dim kitchen, one thing became painfully clear. Lena wasn't just hiding something. She had been hiding it for 7 years. And whatever it wasn't small. It wasn't simple. And it wasn't forgiven. The truth was coming. And I wasn't ready. When dinner was finally over, everyone drifted toward the porch. My sister was helping her kids into their jackets. My mother was setting out warm drinks, laughing too loudly, as if forcing joy into the night. Only Lena and I remained in the kitchen. The moment the others walked out, the room fell silent. Too silent. The warm orange light above us flickered slightly, casting soft shadows across the walls. The half-carved turkey sat on the counter beside the knife she'd used earlier. The smell of spices and smoke filled the air, grounding me in a moment I wasn't ready for. Lena placed the last plate into the sink. Her hands lingered on the edge of the counter. Her shoulders were tense, like she was standing on the edge of something she had avoided for years. I took a step closer, keeping my voice gentle. Lena, please. I need to understand. She didn't turn around, but her voice trembled. You want the truth? Yes, I whispered. I've waited 7 years. She inhaled slowly, deeply, like she was pulling courage from somewhere deep within her. Then she turned toward me. Her eyes were tired. Her face was calm in a way that felt dangerous, like she had made peace with something long before she stepped into this kitchen tonight. Ethan, she said softly, I wasn't the one who ended us. I only did what I thought would protect you. I froze. What does that mean? She stepped closer, her voice lowering. Your mother ended us. My heart slammed against my ribs. My mother? She would never. She did. Her words cut through the air like a knife. I stared at her, trying to understand, trying to breathe normally, but something inside me felt like it was collapsing. Lena swallowed hard. She came to see me. The night I found out I was pregnant. The world stopped. I felt everything inside me go silent. My ears rang. My legs felt unsteady. Pregnant. I whispered. You were. She nodded, tears forming but not falling. I was carrying your child. A soft, painful smile pulled her lips. I was scared, but I was also happy. I thought you'd be happy too. My voice cracked. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you come to me? I tried, she whispered, but she found out before I could talk to you. The memory of that night flashed again, Lena crying, shaking, refusing to explain anything. Now the scene made a horrifying kind of sense. What did she say to you? I asked. Lena looked down at her hands, twisting her fingers together. She said you had a future ahead of you. A big future. She told me a baby would trap you here, ruin everything you'd worked for. She said you'd blame me, that you'd resent me forever. My breath felt stuck in my throat, thick and burning. She said you never wanted children young, that you'd see me as a burden. Her eyes filled again, and she told me your family line was too clean and important to risk with someone like me. The kitchen felt colder suddenly, as if the walls themselves recoiled from those words. And you believed her? I whispered. At that moment, yes. Her voice cracked. She sounded so certain, so sure of what you wanted. And I was scared, confused, alone. I stepped back, trying to take in what she was saying, but the story wasn't finished. I could feel it. There's more, I said quietly. Lena nodded, wiping her cheek quickly. When I lost the baby, your mother came to see me again. My stomach twisted painfully. Lena, God, why didn't you tell me you were going through all this alone? Her expression broke for a moment, just a moment. You were already gone, she whispered. Emotionally gone. She made sure of it. She took a shaky breath, her voice trembling. When I told her about the miscarriage, she smiled. The air left my lungs. She actually smiled, Ethan. Her voice rose, fragile and breaking. She touched my hand and said, thanks to your miscarriage, our family line remains clean. My vision blurred with anger, shock, rage. The door creaked. My mother stepped inside with a tray of mugs, her smile wide and warm, until she saw Lena's tear-stained face. Until she saw my expression. Ethan, she said carefully, don't listen to. Stop talking. My voice came out low, shaking. Her eyes widened. Lena stepped back, pressing herself lightly against the counter, as if needing support. My hands curled into fists at my sides. You told her to leave me. You lied to her. You destroyed everything. My mother straightened, her face hardening. I did what was best for you. You were too young. She would have ruined your life. She was my life. I shouted. My mother flinched. Lena looked down, tears falling silently now. You manipulated her, I said, my voice breaking. You manipulated me. You took our future and crushed it like it meant nothing. My mother set the tray down with trembling hands. "You'll thank me one day. I protected you." "No," I said, stepping back. "You didn't protect me. You robbed me." The truth hit like a blow I wasn't prepared for. I turned toward Lena, her eyes red, her expression full of grief and something like relief. "You didn't lose me because of her," I said softly. "You lost me because I trusted the wrong person." Lena covered her mouth with her hand, trying not to cry again. My mother's voice rose, desperate. "Ethan, don't do this." "I'm done," I said quietly. "You don't get to control anything anymore." I walked past her, past the warm kitchen, past the memories hanging on the walls. Each step felt like breaking chains I didn't know had been wrapped around me. The cold night air slapped my face as soon as I stepped outside. It felt real, sharp, alive. Behind me, the house stayed warm, glowing softly like nothing inside had changed. But everything had changed. Lena appeared in the doorway behind me. Her voice shook when she spoke. "I didn't come here to hurt you," she whispered. "I only wanted you to finally know." I turned to her slowly. "You deserve to be heard," I said. And she deserved to lose. She nodded once, tears slipping down her cheeks, but her expression looked lighter, as if releasing this truth had freed her from something that held her captive for years. The wind rustled the trees. Somewhere inside, the laughter from the porch continued, normal, innocent, unaware. I breathed deeply, feeling something inside me finally settle. The truth had destroyed my mother's lies. It had shattered the past. And it had given Lena the justice she had been denied. As I stepped farther into the cold, the final thought came to me, quiet, heavy, undeniable. The revenge wasn't Lena's. It was the truth itself.